This recipe combines the best of two worlds, cheeseburgers and pasta. Yes, you heard it right, we're making a cheesy, creamy, and oh so delicious cheeseburger pasta that will leave you craving more. And it's also so easy to make. We're going to start by gathering all of our cold ingredients, putting them on the counter, make sure we measure them out, and we have to let them come to room temperature. So I'm going to start with measuring out the low-fat Greek yogurt, and this right here is going to come out to 170 grams. What this is going to be a substitute for is traditional sour cream that would be added to a dish like this. It's going to add a little bit more protein, and it's also going to be lowering the calories overall, providing you with a little bit more nutrition. There's going to be a lot of liquid inside of this dish, so we don't need a ton of almond milk. We're only going to measure out a half a cup, which is going to come out to 120 milliliters or 120 grams like I weighed out right here. Make sure it is plain and unsweetened. For this next ingredient, we're going to need shredded cheese. I prefer to go with a cheese blend. You can go with any type of cheese you like. Just make sure it is reduced fat or low fat. We're trying to cut down on the calories, but also we're trying to make sure we have that balance between calories and flavor. Fat-free is just going to be stiff and not very much flavor. Aim for 390 grams of the shredded cheese and let it sit. This next step is pretty optional, but I just prefer to do it because this dish really does come together really fast after you do all the prep work. So I just grab my 2 tablespoons of my tomato paste, and then I'm also going to be adding in the Worcestershire sauce into the same bowl. It just makes things a little bit easier when it comes to cleanup and you're not using as many dishes. I did the same thing with the low-fat Greek yogurt and the almond milk just because, you know, we got to cut down on the dishes, and I'm just like you, I do not like doing a ton, so it's important to make sure you cut corners where you can, making things easier for you, whether it's during the cooking process or after whenever you got to do the cleanup. Of us, we're going to start getting together the ingredients that we got to dice. So we're going to smash 1 bowl of garlic. We only need 2, maybe 3 cloves, depending upon how much garlic you really prefer. So either way, you're going to grab the side of your knife, you're going to give it a couple taps, kind of break away that shell, peel it off. It comes off really easy. And then you're going to start dicing your onion. Put this couple slices down the center. Make sure you're thinking about pushing your knife in and then push down towards the cutting board. Make sure, depending upon the width of this, is going to determine how big those dices are. I prefer mine smaller, so I do more of those cuts. It takes me a little bit longer, but the result is just a little bit more rewarding. As you're starting to finish up those cuts for that onion, all you're going to do is slightly push it to the side. And once you get done doing all of your cuts, and then you're going to start chopping up the garlic. Whenever it comes to the garlic, make sure you trim off the little stemmed ends, and then you're going to give it a couple slices before you start to mince, all right? So whenever it comes to mincing garlic, it's all about taking your time. It takes a little bit of patience, but it's really not that hard. All you're going to do is slice it up, and then you're going to slowly start rocking your knife back and forth. It's really important to make sure you get a height whenever you are rocking your knife. Sometimes we have a tendency to keep the knife really low. Keep it high. Once you're done, push it to the side. This is when things really start to speed up. So go ahead and throw it on your pan. Make sure this is a big enough pan. You're going to begin to brown your meat. Browning your meat, and then you're going to let those onions start to soften. That pink is going to start to disappear from the meat. Once that pink starts to disappear, we're then going to toss in our minced garlic, and we're going to kind of keep it cooking for about a minute. This is when that aroma is really going to start filling the room. Make sure we add just a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, just to really start bringing out the flavors that we're going to experience later on. It's important to kind of keep this dish moving because we are cooking at a higher heat and the garlic is in there. We wouldn't want it to burn or stick to the pan. After tossing in with that salt and pepper, all we're going to add in is that tomato paste and the Worcestershire sauce. When it comes to this step, you're going to use a lot of convincing to that tomato paste to try mixing together with that beef. But with a little bit of conviction, I'm sure you guys can get it together just like I did. At this point, it is going to really start smelling like a cheeseburger. All we're going to do now is add in some beef broth. This beef broth is going to really tie in that beefy flavor while at the same time providing some great flavor and liquid for the elbow noodles. Whenever it comes to this, you're going to add about 4 cups, and then when it comes to the elbow noodles, it's going to be 1 box. It's going to be 16 ounces. Give that a quick stir, and then once you stir it in to combine, we're going to add in a lid. You're going to bring this to a fast boil. Once you've brought it to a fast boil, all you're going to do is give it a nice quick stir. You're going to feel that dish start to thicken up just a little bit. You're going to make sure you turn down the heat so we can allow it to start simmering. We wouldn't want to overcook it. Once it's been simmering for some time, this is when you're really going to start to experience cheeseburger and pasta put together. Most of the liquid will be gone. This is when we're going to add back in a little bit of liquid. It's going to be those room temperature ingredients. We're going to start with the almond milk, and we're going to add in the Greek yogurt. Give it a nice little stir, combine it all together. Once that low-fat Greek yogurt and almond milk really start to come together, you're going to notice that this creamy texture, a little bit of color change. This is when we're going to add in some cheese. We're going to add in about 2/3 of the total cheese that we had, so you got to divide it up. All right, just eyeball it, doesn't really matter. The rest of the third of cheese that's left over, we will use for garnish later. This right here is going to be an absolute cheesy masterpiece, and then boom, you're going to give it to a nice little simmer again, bubbling a little bit, melt that cheese, and it is ready to serve. This one pot cheeseburger pasta is 615 calories, 47 grams of protein when divided in 6 servings. Check out my blog in the description down below for the full details of macros and the actual step-by-step recipe.